January 17th, 2023. This is like one of the first like live Zooms. I don't know if anybody's gonna come. I'm working on getting a set schedule for what's going on, so this way you can at least like plan better. I'm all about planning, doing this spontaneous. I really only want to do if it's like an extreme move, but and I wanted to do it yesterday too. I want to start the week off with some type of review, just to, see if we can finagle the bagel for the week when it comes to trades. But yeah, market was closed yesterday. I know crypto stays open, but we deserve times off. I feel like it's not bad to take off when the stock market is off. But I'm just going to really tap dance over Bitcoin here. If anybody else comes in, I will for sure look at anything you really want. But there's just some things I want to highlight. So if you follow Bitcoin or just glance at the news, even watch Jim Cramer, you would realize that Bitcoin is up right now. I have people texting me again, which people haven't for a very long time because we've been in this downtrend. But my phone's starting to get active again. Oh, I bet you're excited. Bitcoin's rising, this, that, and the third. And I don't want to take away from it. It was a very nice pump, very, very strong. But I'm not really too quite excited yet. I'm always excited when Bitcoin goes up, but I'm expecting a certain price range. If you've been watching my previous 2 or 3 macro Bitcoin market reviews, you know what I'm expecting. And we'll kind of tap dance into that today even. But this is what I see going on. So Bitcoin weekly. Let's just focus on this right here. This trend line, November 21st, November 8th, 2021, not November 21st, was the start of this downtrend line. And we've tapped this twice right here. So, once, one other time, March 28th, 2022. Beautiful evening star pattern drop right there. And we're approaching it at resistance right here. But for focusing on more recent price action, we have this diagonal right here. Retested it once, broke through it. Diagonals necessarily are just to kind of show trend, not really a point of support and resistance. I feel like you really want to focus on horizontals when it comes to that. But we blew right through this level of weekly support. Just came under this high right here. So even though Bitcoin had let's see here, a 25% pump last week, we closed just under this area of resistance here. And right now, I know there's still 5 days, 7 hours for this week to go. But this could be a spinning top, showing, the market kind of doesn't know what's going on, what it wants to do. But you can't take it away from the daily here. Just look at this volume. The market came back to life. It's been kind of dull since the FTX drop. And we kind of just ate up all that price action from the FTX debacle. And we've kind of back in that price range as before. This weekly support and resistance line right here is that range. But on the daily, right now, we crushed through the 200. So I guess if you're feeling bullish, you know, an area of support possibly could be this daily 200, this multi-time frame support that was resistance, and we could get a retest there. On the daily, this is kind of looking a little exhausted. Just, I mean, shit, we have a divergence right here. We have price going up, volume going down. See if there's anything on the OBV. No, there is a RSI divergence in oversold. Not really much, but price is going up, price is going down. I mean, RSI going down. It is looking a little exhausted right now. So, I mean, that was a hell of a run. And arguably on the weekly, looks like a tower bottom, a reversal pattern. Or could this be a complex inverted head and shoulders too, you know, kind of like a double left shoulder ahead? I don't know if you can see that, but you know, this could be one shoulder, two shoulders ahead. And do we just come up in this range that I was talking about on the weekly, you know, ping pong around here, create another shoulder to just go back up again? But let's take away that right there. You know, I think it's better to, instead of hoping for a Hail Mary, to just play a range by range, level by level. But on the daily, this is looking a little exhausted. I see we have one person in here. Any questions on what I'm going over so far? If not, I can just keep on rambling.
No, this looks great. Keep going.
All right. So on the weekly, tower bottom broke through the first level of diagonal resistance. And like I said, you don't really want to focus on diagonals too much. You kind of want to focus on the horizontal support and resistance, because it could come retest this diagonal, but down here, and keep retesting it down. That's why I like to focus on the horizontals. So possible tower bottom, broke through first level of resistance. We are up over the 8 EMA since October 31st, 2022. So let's get rid of these. These are, but the yellow is the 8. Is it on the weekly? October 31st right here, yeah. So we are inching our way over some of these previous resistances. But me personally, let me pull up this, all my layouts. So we have the 200 weekly. Let's focus on this here. But we have to make this on the weekly. So this weekly 200 level historically has been a good buy opportunity for Bitcoin. We bounced here, shot up, bounced here, came up. This was the COVID drop, wicked under, closed above, came up. This is the first time in Bitcoin's history that we are below the weekly 200 moving average. So back to like the bullish, man, I just don't really see us. If we range here as support and kind of create that inverted head and shoulders, I just don't see it being exciting until we can take out this high right here. We have some resistance we got to get over right here. I don't like that on the weekly. We closed below this resistance and it's kind of looking exhausted on the daily. But we at least have this region to cross through as a resistance to flip support. And in my opinion, I really wouldn't be excited until we can at least take out this weekly high around 24K and get back above the weekly 200 moving average here. I just showed it on this screen because it was a little bit less noise. You could just see it and just focus on this, but this indigo line is that weekly 200, and I mean, this is some strong resistances right here. I could just totally see, you know, let's have people think we're going bullish and dunk it down. Um, Nothing's really off the table, but just me personally, I would play it level by level. If we can convincingly take this high right here, maybe you want to get it on a retest, take it to this resistance right here at least, and then if you really want to go be excited for your spot bags potentially turning around, you at least have to take out this level right here. And I'm not saying we're going to go to all-time highs either. Let's look at this in the past. So here's some support and resistance levels on Bitcoin. I think it's better to look at that on the weekly. So the previous run, looking at previous data, if we fib this right here from this high to this low, we came and tested this monthly support level, golden pocket. You can look at it on the monthly now. There's that monthly support and resistance. We came and retested that support and resistance level at that golden pocket for the sell beautifully. And I'm not really a big fan of short in Bitcoin. I feel like if you look at the chart overall, yeah, bear markets do happen, but the trend is generally up over that like decade, way more up than it is down. But that was just a beautiful short. And I could see a scenario where, and this is all hypothetical, nobody knows where the market's going 100%, but I could see a scenario where we have this golden pocket up here if this was the temporary low. I could just see a scenario where, look, we have the golden pocket monthly support, get over this weekly 200. Bitcoin doesn't tend to get bullish until the halving cycle hits. I could just see that being a good short where if we were to get above here, let's get people uber bullish. Let's take it up here to this high time resistance frame, golden pocket, dip it low. I'm still personally, I'm not convinced that the bottom was in until we at least take out that 24,000 area. I'm still expecting from my first Bitcoin review that $14,000, $10,000 area. So until we take over this 200 weekly 200 MA, that $24,000 high, I'm fully expecting anywhere from 14,000, 10,000. Right now, arguably dollar cost averaging, you cannot go wrong in these levels. I think from a day trader's perspective, it's different. But if you're dollar cost averaging at these levels, I feel 3 years from now, you're not going to be mad that you did. Anybody who sat on their Bitcoin for some time is up in a decent way. I mean, my spot buys from 4,000, 5,000 are still up, even though Bitcoin is down. Even though Bitcoin's down 69% from all-time high. It's down 69% from all-time high, but if you look at that off these lows right here, from the COVID drop to now, everybody loves to talk about how Bitcoin is down, but from that point, not even buying the low, let's talk about the reclaim from this EMA to now. It's up 141%. So like, I always think it's funny when the news is, Bitcoin's down, the narrative Bitcoin's down overall, and that's off that one spot. That's not even talking about the people who've been in the game for a very long time. But I'm just not excited. I'm not sold. I know there's some excitement, but I'm just not sold till we get up here. And talking about fibs, and if you go back in my past video on YouTube, I go over historically how Bitcoin loves that 886 level. So that 886 level is around these two levels, but I'm not going to go into that. I already went over that before, and you can go catch up on that. So let me see. I went over the tower bottom, broke through first diagonal resistance, up over the ADMA since 1031. It was a move on decent volume. Um, we're up over the 200 MA on the daily. I don't like that hanging man and the exhaustion of price action and how it's looking on the daily. I'm just not a fan of that right there. It just looks like it's getting tired. Um, Bearish divergence on volume two. I went over breaking through the next diagonal, getting over the weekly 200. My bad. I'm looking at my notes just to make sure that I didn't miss anything that I wanted to speak about. So another thing that stands out to me is how Bitcoin's getting over the daily 200 and testing these major resistances. So is the SPY. I mean, this is the SPX, the S&P 500, whatever you want to call it. But look at how the 200 on, first let's get through the daily. Bitcoin slightly went over it. We're at that resistance level right now. And I mean, there's still time left in the day, but that's looking exhausted right there. We can't like solidly close on these highs. We're at this daily 200. That could possibly be a doji there. We're just at these major resistance. We're at a diagonal resistance too on the daily. We're just at these points where markets are just looking a little bit tired out, and we have some resistances to get through. I mean, on this weekly here on the S&P, we're at the 50 MA on the weekly. This diagonal resistance. I mean, we tapped it 1, 2, 3, 4. Is the fourth time that is this the fourth tap that breaks the glass? You know what I'm saying? Just something to keep eyes on it. But if we can reclaim these levels with conviction, possibly, we're hitting at a nice relief rally. Maybe the S&P goes up to this monthly support like Bitcoin and just, bounces down. I'm not saying markets could go to the bottom. I mean, I'm also a technical analysis trader too. I don't really look at the fundamentals. I know it's a mess right now in Japan. I wish my homie Bo was on the call right now because he's a phenomenal fundamental analysis trader and he would break down that situation really well. But if Japan goes, that could be like, the possibly like calling bullshit on paper currency and fiat. I mean, but all that's a little bit of fundamental analysis mixed with tinfoil hat wearing right there. But it's just interesting to see. Just interesting to see. But if we do take those, man, I feel how I talk about Bitcoin loves those 886 levels. I feel traditional markets love those golden pocket plays. And man, if we were to just get some bearish news, tighten up. Because in previous rallies, when Bitcoin was touching these moving averages, we were printing money and easing like rates. We're at these, what were once supports, and we're tightening rates. So that could cause that to go down, to just ease inflation. We got to cool down. It's been too hot. But like I said, I don't really know too much of that. I'm not really a big fundamental analysis trader. I don't want to say the news doesn't play effect and take away from that, but the charts show it all, in my opinion. And right now I'm reading, I mean, things could change. We could get a bullish candle to take out these highs with conviction, and all of a sudden I'm singing a different tune. But I just wouldn't go for longs right now. I mean, it's holding this weekly support on the daily. If this is going to get exhausted and break down, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking a long until at least at this 200 level that matches up with a higher time frame support and resistance zone, or down here on this weekly. But yeah, and we just it's been running hot. It's been running. We're just at a point where I feel like we need to break some highs and break these resistances to act like act as support to continue that run. Uh, and Bitcoin and the S&P are at those points where we could get some answers. Uh, that's really all I wanted to talk about. Um, Anything else? Nah, because if not, I feel like that's it. Um, I'll be posting charts. I'm still working on that hour time frame trading strategy, just waiting to refine a couple things. I just have the Nasdaq here, but I mean, same thing, except
I
the
just have a
Nasdaq
question in
isn't.
regards to like altcoins and shit coins and whatnot. Are those to follow suit once Bitcoin makes its leg up?
I mean, I don't really like follow too much on the shit coins. Let me move the Zoom thing out the way. Where is here it is. All right. I mean, Ethereum has been running too. I assume that other projects would be running up right now. So I don't know what like shitcoins you're referencing, but I'm imagining that some of them had to at least pump. I mean, I know Solana has had a bit of a bounce back without even looking at the chart. Just crypto's my main thing, and just talking with my friends in the community there and news, I see that thing. But alts are really only going to run as long as Bitcoin's having a good time. If Bitcoin decides to shit the bed, it's not like Solana or Ethereum is going to just all of a sudden separate and go on a run. So, in reference, without really looking at charts like that, the only hope you have is right now, alts could go on a run if Bitcoin consolidates. But if Bitcoin drops, they're going to drop. But if alts are going to go on a hell of a run, if Bitcoin can reclaim that 24,000 area, reclaim that high time frame MA 200 on the weekly, and if it does one of those moves where it wants to pump to these levels up here, alts are going to go on a run. I mean,
Mhm.
to pull up the Ethereum chart from the last, just looking at prior examples, uh, just for shits and giggles, why not? It didn't come nowhere to that golden pocket, but from the low, 357%. Um, I just don't see it turning around completely yet. Now, when Bitcoin's halving cycle happens and we're done tightening and we're back to easing, it's kind of lining up. I mean,
Mhm.
they're talking about easing at a time when Bitcoin's halving cycle kicks in and the market starts to run, and altcoins follow that. But I'm just not sold on it being a complete turnaround for altcoins yet. I mean, I don't know what kind of answer you were looking at me to hear, if it was like a complete bullish thing, but I'm just not sold on a full bull market yet. Swing around how
I'm
we.
just I'm just down in my portfolio and looking to dollar cost average. That's my main concern. I know shit's not
Okay,
going to go to zero, but I'm also wanting to capitalize on my portfolio instead of kind of sitting on my hands waiting for my shit to go to break even, you know?
so how long have you been in crypto? If you don't mind me
Since
asking,
2018.
since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I feel like you kind of have to like you got to experience um you got to experience 2018. We're somewhere over here. A low, like, or perhaps even like a upper area low, a run up, dip again, and come out on top. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to shit coins, the top 10 of the last cycle wasn't 2 cycles ago, wasn't the top 10 of the last cycle. And I strongly believe the top 10 of the last cycle isn't going to be the top 10 of the next cycle. So
Right.
I feel like holding on to a bag and seeing like crazy returns, I feel like you're gonna get them depending where you bought in. But I just feel like what was popping the last one tends to be not popping the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because the example I could bring up is Litecoin. Bitcoin broke all-time high. Ethereum broke all-time high with some mean conviction. But Litecoin, uh, man, let me see if there's a chart with more data. Here we go. The all-time high from Litecoin, the 2017 cycle, was 383, and we broke that barely, whereas Ethereum and Bitcoin was in the thousands. So depending on where you bought in, you could be hoping to just maybe like if you bought the top of the whatever like coin it is, you're almost like hoping to like break even.
Yeah.
But if you're buying like what you believe is like the low, you know, Bitcoin's in that area where it makes sense to dollar cost average. If it's a project like Litecoin, even though Litecoin's been one of the better running like coins, I don't know. It's like risky business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I wonder if like even I owned no Doge, so I'm saying this without skin in the game. But I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if like Doge is gonna be on like a run it did last time. Like, was that just some meme coin hype for that year? You know what I mean? Was that like the pet rock of that cycle?
Right.
Um, I don't. I mean, what coins are you like referencing about? Like,
I have a little bit in Doge and I have a little bit in like Riff. It's not like I have much hold, like it's probably like 15% of my portfolio is in shitcoin.
yeah,
Um I don't think I bought at the lows. I've definitely bought in the middle.
yeah,
So I know I can at least break even, but if like you mentioned, the top 10 from last year is not going to be the top 10 from this year. But I am also aware that Bitcoin does lead the cycle. Once that starts pumping, everything pumps with it.
yep.
It's
I
just a
mean,
matter of how much, you know.
yeah. A matter of how much. So I've talked about this before. I don't know if like you've seen it, but we've always treated the extended 238 fib as the previous high. So in the 2013 run, we had a high of 1455. The 238 was 1798. We went up to 20,000. Was 250,000. This was the first cycle we didn't get to it, and we hit that 161. But I mean, depending on where the low is, I feel like, man, and Bitcoin's always broken previous all-time high because it's like, you know, the it's just limited supply and demand with the halving cycle and the reward for the blockchain. I feel like you can't go wrong with Bitcoin and Ethereum at all. At all.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong with it. Everything else is a little bit more of a gamble. But if you're dollar cost averaging with money, like when it comes to shit coins, it's for crypto, but shit coins especially, you can't really like hold on to it. Like if you invest in it, you got to pretend you're never going to see it again. So if you're like investing that way and not hoping to like hit the million, the Powerball, then you're going to be all right. I feel like you'll
Yeah.
be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just building my portfolio, if anything. You know what I mean? Because Bitcoin's pretty expensive, so I don't uh, like I'm dollar cost averaging with Bitcoin. I trade a little bit of my holdings on Bybit, but I'm not buying too
I
much
mean, you're
of it.
still getting,
Sold
so
it.
even though Bitcoin's expensive, you can just get the Satoshi amount and still be up on your investment. You don't need to look at
Mm-hmm.
it necessarily as owning a whole Bitcoin, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I just feel like, yeah, in crypto, there are those, you hear those stories where that guy turned like 5,000 into like 30 million or some shit like that. But like, I mean, you have like hedge funds making like 7% a year and they're $1 billion hedge funds and like Bitcoin dollar cost averaging, you tend to get like silly percent. So I wouldn't look at it as like Bitcoin's expensive. I feel like you have to look at it from like when is a good time to buy,
Right.
because if you look at let me see here. If you look at the low from the high, it hits the 886, it goes on a run. If you look at this low to this high, it was in that 886 region, and then went on a run off previous data. And I'm just like briefly going through what I was speaking before. This 886 level is at 11,464 with those two support and resistance zones on this chart at that 13,000 and 10,000 region. So you have two major supports and that 886 level in there. I mean, historically, that's why I'm looking down at there. So right now, dollar cost average is great, but those zones, I plan on like throwing like major amounts. Um, but overall, let's say you dollar cost average on Bitcoin and just buy the golden pocket, like you're a little bit more conservative, like at that 60% level instead of that 886. Even though you could be down, you're gonna be up over time,
Right.
significantly. So, oh, man, I don't have it on this chart. Where is, here we go, the BLX. I think this one might be better. So like if you buy in that golden pocket region, yeah, you're not getting the lows, but you're at this level in here, like around like, let's call it 68. So let's just do 68. 68 to the all-time high, that's an 888 1%. And it's, you're not worried about buying the bottom, you know what I mean? Like your account may go down, but your dollar cost averaging in those zones, you know? And I mean,
Right.
shit. Let's talk about the first time I bought Bitcoin, right? So I bought Bitcoin around here. I got it in 2019. I was in the hospital for like 9 days. I had time on my hands and I was doing some research. I first bought my first Bitcoin at 13,000, right? I was underwater a total of 69%, but that position was up 408%, you know? So you just kind of want to just like chart historically, like, all right, where are like good times to buy? Where are like these significant historical regions Bitcoin likes to go? Because those people who like buy in at the hype, at the highs and everything else, when because like when that Dogecoin hype happened and it went on those crazy runs, people were buying in at random places when ideally like those aren't the points you kind of want to buy in. But if you're like using your I best idea to buy historically, I mean historically when Bitcoin's 50% off, anything 50% off, people go out and buy pairs of jeans at 50% off. If there's a TV somebody wants to buy and that's 50% off, they're going to buy it, you know? So, general rule of thumb, when Bitcoin's down at a discount like that, um, Ethereum's at a discount like that, you're going to have a good time. Yeah, your portfolio may dip, but if you just be patient, historically, you're on the upside. Now, right
Right.
now, I just feel like they could really cause pain on some people because, like I said, when we were at these support levels before, we were printing money, we were easing rates, stimulus. Now we're tightening rates, and so far, like a stimulus ain't on the horizon anytime soon. I mean, that's what got us to these high costs and inflation anyway, is all that stimulus.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just an interesting time. But you know, historically, where that 886 level it could um, be a good time to buy, maybe, you know, they go a little bit lower. But I still have faith in that. Now, as like a project like Doge, me personally, I don't want to sound like a hater. I've never owned it. I've never really been a fan of like the hype. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of like realistically, my portfolio is mainly Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB. Outside of that, I do have my projects, stuff that I've been holding, stuff that I've been staking. For example, I do own some Tezos XTZ. I stake it in my cold storage. I get 6% of what I hold. And I have a piece of that pie that I'm gambling on there, you know?
Right.
So, but you can't go wrong investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum, I feel. I feel like also every year there's also a Ethereum killer, something that's going to take over Ethereum, but I've yet to see it. Uh, anything else? Because I'm the Zoom is going to be like over soon.
Nope, that was it. You basically covered everything. I appreciate it.
Nah, no problem. Thanks for asking questions and everything. But I'll
Of
be
course.
coming through with updates more and more, posting stuff. Basically to highlight everything. Don't get too excited without strong closes over this 24,000 level on Bitcoin. Until we're there, it could dip. I'm expecting Bitcoin to dip between 14 to 10,000. If Bitcoin dips to that area, expect altcoins and everything else to take major dips as well. That's
Hmm.
pretty much like the sum of it. So take advantage of those buying opportunities. Warren Buffett said, be fearful when others are greedy, greedy when others are fearful. Bitcoin's still here no matter how many times the news says it's going to the bottom, it's going to the
Yeah.
floor, it's over, it's going to zero.
Yeah.
But all right, hit me up if anything with any questions. If you have any questions.
Will do. Thank you so
All right,
much.
enjoy the rest of your day. No problem.